Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective, joined again, brother John Tran. We are doing our second college football playoff review, recap, whatever you want to call it. A 29-23 victory by the Clemson Tigers over the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Fiesta Bowl. Tran, it was a phenomenal game.
It's the best game I've seen all year. There's just momentum swings, big hits, great play, great football. I mean, all around.
It's funny, you and I are big boxing fans, and we've been talking off camera, of course, about the legacy of Roy Jones Jr. tonight. Tran, by the way, is a huge Roy Jones Jr. fan, and one of the songs he had, I believe it was the late 90s or early 2000s, it was a song called Y'all Must Have Forgot. The reason why I bring that up is I think people slept on Clemson a little bit. Now, Clemson, I believe, was favored, like a slight,
like 2 points or something,
like 2-point favorite. But in terms of I think people, the Twitter sphere, social media, fans, and folks kind of discounted Clemson for a couple reasons, right? We saw them look shaky early in the season. Trevor Lawrence didn't look like himself. The graduation and the guys that left to the NFL, especially on the defensive line. And then the strength of schedule was very, very poor due to the ACC being very, very poor. And I think in my preview video, as wrong as I was in the LSU Oklahoma, minus me picking LSU. Some of y'all acting like I picked OU. But minus that, I've like the flip side of that, I thought I nailed a lot of things about this game, because it was a heavyweight bout. It was, and I really felt it, when you play the schedule that Clemson plays, they have an opportunity to get ready for the play. We saw this happen last year. Now, did they come in and turn up on Ohio State the way they turned up on Notre Dame and Alabama? No, because Ohio State is a great football team, and they showed that in this football game. And there was a few plays, because it's a game of inches, right? And it came down to a few plays that were the turning point in this game. You texted me during, I believe, the second quarter. What were we talking about?
When are we talking about when the Ohio State went up 16-0?
Yes.
I texted you. I said, to me, this is more impressive than the beatdown that LSU put on Oklahoma, because in my thought process was Oklahoma's defense is not as great of a defense as Clemson is. And they looked like they were just moving the ball with ease against them. And I was saying, this is pretty impressive what Ohio State's doing, what Justin Fields is doing, what Dobbins is doing. And they just looked like they were ready to play. And they said, to me, it kind of shocked me, because I expected Clemson to come out and jump on the team, because they're the been there, done that type of team. But
defending national champions.
I mean, the been there, done that can also get smacked in the face and then respond. And that's exactly what they did, and that's what made this game so great.
Ohio State's been playing big games all year. They were battle tested. They showed that, like you said, early in the game. Their opening script had Brent Venables flummoxed, in my opinion. And you have to give credit to Ryan Day, as well as our future Texas offensive coordinator, now official, Mike Yurcich. We'll have another video on that. But going into to your point, the Dobbins stuff, getting him isolated, he had some breaking some long runs. Seemed like Clemson was off balance. Justin Fields, the knee ended up, to me, did playing a factor in terms of the lack of mobility that he had. He's not the same mobile running around quarterback that we saw earlier in the year. And, Clemson was able to get some pressure throughout. Brent Venables started figuring things out, right? But I think one of the key things and the unsung things for Clemson was, even though Ohio State was putting points on the board, they were kicking field goals, right? And Clemson's red zone defense was holding up. Now, we say that Dobbins had the drop, where the initially ruled a touchdown. It gets overturned. Maybe the ball's a little slightly out in front of him, but you expect him to reel that in and not put the ball on the ground. He also dropped a screen pass that may have gone for a touchdown later in the game. but he was phenomenal running the football on the ground. And then he starts dealing with ankle injuries. But before we get to that, 16-0, I think it was 3rd and 15. Clemson has the football. And Shaun Wade, who had been having a fantastic game, and a guy...
The whole defense to that point had
absolutely fantastic game. And we saw that marriage between the pass rush with Chase Young. Even though he wasn't getting the sack numbers or anything, you could see him hurrying Trevor Lawrence and rushing them.
He made the whole defensive line better.
Absolutely.
That's what
everybody else was able to get
did.
one-on-ones. All three corners were playing well at that point. Okudah was doing his thing. T. Higgins had... Did he have, what was his injury, by the way? Did he have a concussion, T. Higgins, when his helmet...
I have no idea, because he came back.
All of a sudden, they were like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
There were some very questionable injury things going on both sides. The T. Higgins thing was weird. Trevor Lawrence, he rose up. I tweeted that he rose up like the Undertaker after that play. Because he went from, oh my God, this looks like,
his career's in jeopardy.
His arm's gone dead to he's back in a play later. Then you have the Dobbins thing where he's mysteriously going to the locker room. He's getting, what are they putting in him?
I think that was the turning point of the game, was Dobbins going down, honestly.
Well, I think, but I think the first turning point, though, was the Wade blitz, because that's what I was getting to. Yeah. Beautiful blitz. He gets home. They get the sack on Trevor Lawrence, him in conjunction with Chase Young. They call the targeting penalty. So there was a lot of controversial things going on, but that one of two major controversial plays. We'll start there. Did you think that was fair for the targeting, which led to Wade's ejection?
So by rule, yes. Do I think it was targeting? No.
I'm confused.
But because I think the reason why it was naturally called was because of who it was on. It was on the star quarterback
in the pocket.
Mm-hmm. And if you actually slow it down, like they slow everything down, even the fumble, which we'll get to later, but when you slow anything down, it looks a lot worse than what it is. So when he slows it down, you actually see Trevor Lawrence go down to where the tackle box is. Yes, the reason why I said by rule it is targeting, because he did lead with the crown of his helmet.
Right.
With that said, if they were handing the ball off to Etienne, that would not have been called as targeting at all. That would not have been called. It wouldn't have been. It would have been, he was trying to make a tackle on the guy, hitting him in the waist.
Yeah, especially if he's like, coming down here and making the blow. And so, it goes from wow, because think about the momentum shift. We go from wow, they knocked out the quarter, 4th and 15. Yeah. They're not going to get points. They may have knocked out Trevor Lawrence. Clemson season's over. To Wade is gone, right? And to me, Wade is like the Swiss Army knife of the Ohio State defense, right? Like they can line him up anywhere. They now lose their Swiss Army knife back there, who was all over the place. You get the ATN touchdown. It's now 16-7. As well as Ohio State has played, it's like 2 minutes left in the half, and it's only 16-7. And then Trevor Lawrence, I talked about him rising up from the dead. He not only rose up from the dead like the Undertaker, but he was like Undertaker at WrestleMania, old school, bro. So we have the touchdown run that I want to talk about.
His touchdown run?
His touchdown run, because he has a 67-yard touchdown run before the end of the half, which makes it 16-14.
Mm-hmm. Right? And they get the ball back.
And it was a simple zone read, play. And it's funny because earlier in the game, there was a play on the Dobbins long touchdown run, which was also on a zone read, but Fields handed it off, and Xavier Thomas on Clemson kind of got in no man's land with Fields and bit. And Dobbins goes up, makes the safety miss. He's to the house. Yep. Then you see almost the exact same play with Lawrence, but he kept it. Same thing. Gets isolated with the safety. He gave him the cookies in the open field, and he took off like a deer. Did you? I know Trevor Lawrence has his underrated athleticism, and he's been timed around a 4.7 or whatever, but I don't know if it was adrenaline or whatever. I never thought in my wildest dreams he would take one to the house 70 yards against Ohio State's defense.
No, neither did I. But he did.
He did. And you know what? To me, he proved that he was the prospect that he was. Like, he lived up to his billing last year as a freshman, right? People talking about he's one of the great, he's on that Andrew Luck level of a prospect coming out, and he lived up to that. But everything was so comfortable for him last year, especially in the playoffs where there was no adversity they faced in the Notre Dame or the Alabama game. He was just dicing, right? Yep. But we saw him go through some stuff.
This is probably, besides the North Carolina game, this is probably the only time he actually faced adversity, honestly, in his college career. And I mean, he passed the test with flying colors.
It only makes you like him more, because one of the things you look at when you're evaluating quarterbacks is how do they respond in situations like that. We know guys can look good in shorts when everything's right and clean, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're getting hit or you're having a bad game or T. Higgins goes down, Ross starts dealing with stuff. Mm-hmm. You can't get ATN going on the ground, who is been the horse you've always been able to turn around and hand the ball off to. He almost got knocked. So he shows us toughness. He showed leadership. Mm-hmm. You see him on the sideline, because I'm a big body language guy, Train. You see him pulling guys aside. Hey, we still in this. We're up against an elite opponent, but we got to push through. We got to fight. And you know what? I want to give a lot of credit to Justin Fields as well. We talked about the knee, but he was forced to kind of throw, play from the pocket, throw from the pocket. And he did a great job as well. He gave some balls, gave his guys chances. Like,
what about that 4th and 1? The 4th and 1 touchdown pass where he read.
Oh, it's 4th and 2. Yeah.
He read the
and got on one
coverage, and bam, right there hit.
Which was a gutsy call by Ryan Day.
Yeah, especially throwing the ball deep in that. And I think they were down, right? They were down 21 to. Was it 20?
What was it? It was 21 to 16, and then they got on 4th and 2.
Yep.
And that was a play call where it's like, damn, they're playing to win.
Yep.
Right. And I know people are going to get into the they should have gone for 2 or some other decisions that Ryan Day made that in retrospect didn't work out. Him deciding to kind of play more field position later in the game. And Clemson,
the 4th and 4, positive.
Yeah, and they decide, and then Clemson just strolls down the field again. But I'm as a college football fan, and again, no dog in the fight. I love the back and forth. I love kids finding themselves and learning and knowing that they can get through that. And Trevor Lawrence, maybe he knew he had that in him, but showing the world that he had that in him. And Justin Fields, look, going, because we'll get to the fumble here, in a second, but even the last interception where, I think it was Olave who broke to the corner and he throws and I see what Fields saw.
Yeah.
Right. And it's unfortunate. We don't know who to put that on.
They weren't on the same page.
They weren't on the same page. And unfortunately that happened at the worst possible time. But he was leading his team right back down the field. Right.
And Clemson just made a play.
Absolutely.
Made a play.
So now we get to that was the end of the game. I know we're jumping around, but the play that everyone's been debating about, and a lot of people have thrown the referees under the bus regarding the overturned fumble. It was initially ruled a fumble. I believe it was in the 3rd quarter. If I'm not mistaken, y'all can put that in the comments. But Justin Ross and Okudah, who might be the first corner off the board in the NFL draft if he declares. He rips through after on replay. It looks like Ross took a few steps, and we get into the conversation on what's a catch.
So before that, the few steps, do you think that those were steps that he made himself, or do you think that was momentum from him catching it in the air?
But a step's a step, though. Right?
I don't believe that, because a lot of the times if you're jumping in the air trying to catch something, high point it, your momentum's going to carry you, and that's not your actual ability doing that. It's just momentum carrying you. So personally, I thought that it was the right call. I watched it
to overturn.
Yes, to overturn it
and say that it was an incomplete pass.
From what I saw is that when he was catching it, when he was taking the steps while the ball was being brought back into him, and then that's when the guy knocked it out of his hand. I think it was a great play by the defender, breaking up the ball, and I think it should have been an incomplete pass at that point.
So I think I actually agree with you because one of my issues was they're showing the replay in slow motion, and this is one of the things that where the technology comes into play here, because technology can be your friend and it can also be your foe. Because if you're showing it in replay, that's not how football's played real time. Like, things are always going to look different on a slow motion. Like everything's going to look like pass interference in slow motion, but in real time it's bang bang, right? And when you watch the play bang real time, that's not a catch.
No, it's not.
When you watch it full speed, it's the ball comes out immediately, right? Like, but then those who feel, especially Ohio State fans, who feel like they were completely robbed.
They need to stop that, by the way. I had 3 friends from Ohio State that reached out to me and said, man, the refs robbed this. You guys got a national championship because of the refs. Stop it. Stop it. I'm done with you guys. All right? They did. They robbed probably the best college football team of all time a national championship because of a BS pass interference call. So this was absolutely not the thing that made you lose the game.
Right. Well, I think there's some logical fans who say, hey, that, even if I don't agree with the call, that's not why we lost the game, because hey, Dobbins could have caught the ball. Y'all could have punched in, not to kick so many field goals. You let ATN get loose on the screen pass. He got loose on a couple of them where I think he finished with like 98 yards in the air. We also have to give credit to Dabo Swinney. I want to give some credit to Dabo Swinney right now because his team in these games, there's a reason why they've won 29 straight, which is really, really hard to do in college football and college football lore. And the heart that his teams display in big games, when money is on the table, everything's on the line, these nationally televised games, his teams always seem to rise to the occasion. And you've seen when he has the quarterback, whether it's a Deshaun Watson and now a Trevor Lawrence, it's been remarkable what Clemson has been able to do. And they've been the dominant squad. And that's why I started off with the y'all must have forgot, because you look at 28 games in a row and like they're a 3 seed and people are kind of like dismissive of them. And it's like, yo, we're now going to New Orleans to face LSU and potentially win 30 games in a row. All right. Now we'll get to the LSU matchup in a little bit here, but just think about the sustained dominance that they've had, even transitioning eras, like I said, from Deshaun Watson, even with Kelly Bryant, they went to the playoffs. And so, I mean, I can't say enough impressive things. Their ability to adjust too, defensively.
Let's go back to that 30 games in a row that they could possibly win. That is extremely impressive. I think what's the record? Is it like Oklahoma with like 47 or something like that?
Yeah, we can look that up.
But that was back in the day. This is now in the playoff era where you have to play 2 teams back to back that are ranked.
Yeah,
on
Oklahoma
purpose.
47 in a row.
They're 47. So for them to win 30 straight with the playoffs structured the way it is, it's absolutely impressive. I'm blown away, and that's the way that I know Tom Herman wants to create our staff that way. He wants that cohesiveness that Brent Venables has with him. That he wants that, and hopefully we get that. We can get to emulate that to some
sure.
degree.
Well, we saw our future guy there in the past as a pass game corner, and look, Justin
look
Fields,
good.
they threw for what, 320 on a top 3 secondary in Clemson, and you saw how well that secondary played. The brother Kendrick, some of the pass breakups he had in the end zone, their safety play, even though they were outmatched.
The linebackers are extremely impressive.
Yeah, Clemson. Yeah. I mean, but even sometimes they were physically outmatched because Ohio State has like 4 good wide receivers, right? They still will always play with good technique and leverage. So for Justin Fields and those guys to still throw the ball effectively like that and have effective run game. I like this game too because even though there were a lot of yards given up, there were some incredible defensive plays that were made in this game. I mean, even the first interception that Justin Fields threw, where he's trying to fit
on
the
the
ball
sideline.
on the sideline, he's trying to fit the ball into
He
cover
baited
two.
him. He baited him.
It was a great play.
It was a great play.
So we have
and there was one that Akuda dropped it, but it
and that was Isaiah
Simmons.
Simmons.
It was the first drive. Akuda did kind of the same thing, and he dropped it. He dropped the pick too. That would have been a pick six. And it still was a great play on the ball. He just dropped the ball.
I thought Arnett on Ohio State played well when they were trying to go after Arnett, and they challenged him. This is another thing that I noticed in both this game and the LSU Oklahoma game. And this is why these teams are in one of the small little details, attention to detail, why these teams are in the game. Two things I'm going to bring up here. The first thing is when somebody leaves the game, they immediately attack the replacement. Mm-hmm. I noticed LSU Oklahoma, Buki gets kicked out. They bring in the young brother Washington.
Let's see what this guy's got. He's cold. Let's go.
Joe Burrow throws a touchdown to Jefferson immediately. And Washington actually guarded that well, going back to the LSU Oklahoma game. He actually guarded that. He played as well as the technique could, but Joe Burrow's Joe Burrow, and he puts the ball wherever he pleases, and he has elite wide receivers. This game, Clemson, Ohio State, Wade gets kicked out. Fair enough. Mm-hmm. The backup comes in. I can't remember the brother's name, number 10. They immediately throw the wheel route to him. He gets called for pass interference, which led to the ATN touchdown. These teams don't let people off the hook. And that's something that we got to get to at Texas, right? One of the small little things. The other thing I want to bring up was punt game in this game. Impressed me. These teams were trying their best to at least get good, trying to, when they had to punt, let's not just boot the thing out the back of the end zone or do the whole thing where we want to get a fair catch at the 20 and kick it high. No, let's try to pin them. And they were both doing it back and forth. So just the element of special teams, it was a well balanced football game. Regardless of how you feel about the controversial calls, when you see it lived up to the billing. That's why I was so excited to see this. I think we'll look back at this game and now as we move to the LSU stuff, we look back at this game and how many NFL players were here. Like a guy like Isaiah Simmons, who we always laugh about. They were like, he runs 4.3 and all this type of stuff. But like you see the guy, he's playing all three positions on Clemson, and he makes an unbelievable interception.
And they kept calling his name out.
He lived up to these guys were living up to the hype.
Yes.
Like everybody was bald. Garrett Wilson, looked like Randy Moss at the beginning of the game. Like every single, big time player out there, it was impressive to watch. And I know some people are coming at Chase Young because he didn't get a sack or whatever, but I saw him all over the field as well. And if you guys understood the amount of attention, he was starting to get Clowney type of attention. You remember when Clowney was at South Carolina last year, and it was just ridiculous how people were blocking him. So when you start putting up the numbers that Chase Young put up, you're going to generate a certain amount of attention. LSU and Clemson.
Can I touch?
Go ahead.
Can we touch on the fact that just going in on all the people's names that were being called out? One thing that you and I noticed right away.
We were texting.
Yeah, when we were texting back and forth, was both games. There were quite a few names being called out multiple times, and those players happened to be from this lovely state of Texas. And it's extremely frustrating to both of us. Like, let's name off some of them. Just the Clemson game on Ohio State. Dobbins, Wilson, Browning, Akuda. Who else am I missing? I know I'm missing one other one. I think there's 5.
I'm forgetting somebody else. I can look it up here. But yeah, go ahead.
But not only that, like CeeDee Lamb and then Jefferson, they're from Texas, and then of course there's a whole bunch of people from on Oklahoma's team that's on Texas. But The fact of the matter is the thing that's bothering me is that these guys are making plays on the biggest of stages. And these guys did not want to go to any, I'm not just saying, hey,
I mean, some of those recruiting battles, but some of those recruiting battles were like Garrett Wilson it was either Ohio State or us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or Baron Browning, I think it was us, Baylor and you know, so I mean,
but the point I'm getting at is it's sad that we're not keeping these great talents in state. And I'm not just saying just straight up Texas hoarding all the talent.
Right.
But, A&M didn't pull these guys in. Baylor, like you said, didn't pull in. TCU, Texas Tech, teams like that didn't pull these guys in.
State.
Yeah, they went to Ohio State. Probably lovely campus. That's all. It's probably a lovely campus. But I'm just like, you're Texas boys. I would love to see them play here in Texas. But it was great to see them do so well on the biggest stages.
Maybe that's why Tom Herman's loading up on all the Ohio State mini Ohio State, because they recruit Texas so well. I mean, you look at the guys we're bringing in. They've recruited Texas before, and they've helped reel in some of those players that we talked about in the past. I know Chris Ash was further removed, but my point being, hopefully we can get back to that, and with our new staff, start to keep some of these guys home. Ohio State's a phenomenal program, and they'll always get their share. And look. Here's the other thing, Tran. Mm-hmm. They recruit on a national level. Clemson recruits on a national level. Yeah. LSU recruits on a national level. The three best teams in this country, they're pulling talent from everywhere. So as much as we're talking about locking down Texas as much as we can, our recruiting class so far, we got 15, 16 people from Texas, one person out of state. And so we got to start getting in the hunt, for all these elite guys across the country, where there's some corners out of Florida, like they got Sean Wade and Jeff Okuda in the same class, right? They were the number one and two corners, right? So you wonder, we got the number 2 pass defense in the country. Well, yeah, if you develop those guys and they play up to their billing, you're going to be beyond straight, right? So I do want to get to LSU Clemson real quick as we wrap up, just because we'll have another full-blown preview video. Coach O's been talking all year about getting to New Orleans, and LSU right now seems like the team of destiny.
Yeah,
everything's gone in their favor on the field. I know Dabo. You already know the message he's going to be playing to his kids. Nobody believes in us, and
against the world.
Us against the world, and nobody in college football right now is better at getting his kids that juiced up to that message better than Dabo Swinney. My question to you, just as you look at the outlook of this game, do you think that Ohio State took too much out of Clemson physically and emotionally to be able to come back and play against the juggernaut that is LSU?
So I would say yes if they had that 9-day break. But this one, it's an actual, I think, 16-day break. I like that extra week that they have to prep for, because that was a physical game. That was a way more physical game than the first game.
Yeah, we were talking about the people that were lost in that game and the injuries. Yeah,
the extra week definitely will do well for their psyche and their physical wellness. The only thing that I'm worried about with Clemson is if LSU gets into the red zone the way that Ohio State got into the red zone.
Yeah, they're not kicking field goals.
They're not kicking field goals. But like you said, Dabo's the guy. They're the reigning national champions
for a reason.
Mm-hmm. And they're back in the national championship for a reason.
They also have the one quarterback that can go throw for throw with Joe. Now, he's not as hot as Joe Burrow is right now, but with the way, and this is the other thing that I love, the adjustments that Clemson made on the fly. They went they went old school.
ESPN playing on me.
Nah, it's all good. They went old school like they used to do with Deshaun Watson and some of the other, like Kelly Bryant and other type of quarterbacks, Their adjustment was, they're keying on ATN. I'm losing my outside guys. We got to go quarterback run game. And a lot of people were like, man, this is crazy. We don't know if Trevor Lawrence is capable of doing those things. And B, you're putting him at a significant risk to get hurt. And he not only showed the heart and the toughness, but he did show the physical ability to that wrinkle there. Because he carried the ball, 18 times? What was his... I think you have the number right there.
16 times for 107.
16 times 107. Obviously, he had the big 67-yarder. But he had those timely keepers or the zone read. They went back to some of their old quarterback power stuff where they did the fake toss sweep and then the guards were pulling and then he ran behind him. Like, I hadn't seen that little fake toss play since Deshaun Watson was there. And they just went right back to it.
They have the offense and the defense to slow down LSU. Do they have enough to stop them completely? I don't know about that. With that said, I think that Clemson will give LSU the biggest test they've seen all year.
I'm worried about Clemson, and I'm with you because I'm talking about all that. My thing with Clemson, and the reason why I'm worried is to me, the only chance you have against LSU right now, because they are a true juggernaut, is time of possession.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. They actually have the offense to do that with ATN.
Because if you look at the teams who have at least taken the game real into the fourth quarter, Texas, we had the ball for 34 minutes. Now we still gave up, 500 plus yards. But at least we were able to possess the ball more, and we did something with it. We did put up 38 points. We did throw for over 400 yards. We did have over 500 yards.
And one thing that we did do is we caused them to turn the ball over too.
Yeah, we got it early. Yeah, so Clemson's gonna have to do something like that.
They're gonna have to get at least 2 interceptions or 2 turnovers.
Florida, who's playing right now in the Orange Bowl, they were at least able. They had 38 minutes time possession. Remember, I think LSU they didn't even run 50 plays against Florida. Now, they still ended up winning comfortably by 14, but that game was very, very competitive. I believe it was tied at halftime where Florida was running a bunch of plays and able to stay on the field. The only way you're going to beat Joe Burrow is to keep his ass on the sideline.
Or to knock him out.
Honestly, can you even knock him out?
You gotta hit him. You gotta touch him.
That D lineman on UCF last year tried to knock him out, and the man got up, it brought out the blowtorch on him. So, even the Alabama game, Alabama
just looked like an idiot flexing too afterwards, right?
Well, and they got sparked. Yeah. So, Alabama game, it was 46-41, but Alabama only had the ball for 25 minutes, and that game wasn't as close as the score indicated, right? The team that was most successful against LSU this year was Auburn. Yep. And Auburn, even though they didn't necessarily have a chance to win at the end, I know it was only a 3-point game, but, they had the late score and then, whatever to get it up to that point. But one of the things that Auburn was able to do, even though they didn't necessarily, they kept the time of possession even, but they hit Joe Burrow. They were super, super physical with all the wide receivers across the board. I don't know if Clemson has the personnel, that Auburn has physically to match up like that. But at least Brent Venables, if I'm him, and I'm sure every team that's played LSU since has gone and looked at the Auburn tape, and LSU fans will tell you, hey, we're much healthier now. We're a much more cohesive unit than we were as a team than that Auburn game. And plus that Auburn game was the game before Alabama, even though they had the bye. But that's your only real chance if you're Clemson. So I'm really curious to see what Dabo comes up with. But Dabo's faced some great teams before. He faced Tua last year when Tua was rolling. Obviously, Tua had the health issues at the end, but these big stage games, you can never count out Dabo Swinney. So I'm excited to see it.
I'm extremely excited.
And we'll have our big national championship preview. But, guys, this was a heavyweight fight, Clemson, Ohio State, that lived up to the billing.
Hopefully we're lucky to have another one coming up. Hopefully we are.
And those of you who are here in Central Texas, hit the links below. Boss's Ranch are our wonderful sponsors here. They have a great ranch dip dressing product that is splendid. We're getting rave reviews about it. HEB, Cold Produce, check them out. Horns fans, we'll be back with the Mike Yurcich official announcement video. And guys, subscribe, like us, feedback, welcome it all. For my Horns fans, Horns always up.